I want to introduce someone who needs no introduction to those of you who've been following this. Matt Pacuco, the leader of Safe Porter Ranch, has been fearless since the beginning, unafraid to make people a little uncomfortable, to push the envelope because his family and his community is at risk. So Matt, please come up and say a few words, as only you can do.
Thanks everybody for coming out today. My name is Matt Pacuco. I live right behind, sorry, I wasn't prepared to speak. I live right behind that hill right behind us, so yeah, I was pretty affected. I don't want to repeat everything that they said. They said it very well. I agree with everything. This community is pretty tired of being kicked around. Yep. And now this time by our own elected officials, present company excluded. Talk about Mayor Garcetti, Supervisor Barger, and AG Becerra, who worked this deal.
Yes.
They've done nothing to prevent this from happening again. Now, they've actually given some of this settlement money right back to SoCal Gas's projects up in the Central Valley. Yep. I mean, seriously?
Really?
Not much left over for the victims. Yeah, we know what a health study is going to find. We already know what it's going to find, but we get nothing after that. And while they're going to be cleaning up other parts of the state, they've allowed nothing for cleaning up the directly contaminated community. That's a problem. Now, I don't want to hear Garcetti and the other city people talking about, hey, we don't have jurisdiction. Garcetti, you're the mayor of the second biggest megapolis in the United States. 20 of those wells sit on city property. Certainly you can come up with something better than this crap deal that you brokered.
Yeah.
Now, we're really glad that Senator Stern, Assemblyman Gabriel, Mr. Sherman are actually trying to do something where all these other people have failed to do anything. Thank you very much for all that. And while we're at it, I guess you're a good person to say, what about that Senate Oversight Committee hearing about SoCal Gas's entire operation? Shut it all down! 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 Shut it all down!
Shut it all down.
I think you know what this community wants, but I wanted to open this up to questions. I will add one note that we do have legislation prepared in Sacramento ready to introduce next week in the final weeks of session here. If they do not take our comments into consideration during the normal course of order, we'll force the issue by passing a bill. And we have a diverse coalition of legislators stepping up. This is not just a matter of the San Fernando Valley. We have co-authors and supporters from all up and down this state, including the Central Valley. Environmental justice is indivisible. What happened in this community happens to other communities, and there is no way to divide us. Anyone who tries to say the Valley is a bunch of upper middle class people who don't deserve justice and that the only focus in this state ought to be in other communities aren't paying attention to the reality on the ground, because there are hardworking people who try to get their kids to school every day, who grind it out, and they deserve this too. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions for any of the participants here today. Yes, sir.
As far as the health study goes, since this leak, my wife and 2 children have been diagnosed with lupus. And benzene is known to trigger some of these things. What help do I get? I've got hospital bills, doctor bills, the stress of it all.
What's
What
your
do I
name,
do?
sir?
Rich.
Rich. Those of you who couldn't hear on the mic, Rich's wife and daughter were recently diagnosed with lupus.
Wife and 2 kids are battling.
And benzene, a known carcinogen, which we've detected at elevated levels here since that leak, is a known trigger for that
For the condition.
a very threatening condition. This public health study, let's be clear, as Assemblymember Gabriel said, that's a width, $25 million. Now, it's not enough to fully fund the health study that we all deserve, but I know Supervisor Barger worked incredibly hard on that piece, and I want to commend her for pushing that $25 million through, because I guarantee you the gas company did not want that public health study happening, because they are going to be held liable if they fail to disclose what chemicals they emitted in our community. In court, by law. We have a bill moving to the Senate floor this week to mandate disclosure of chemicals that are currently not required by law, but that won't help bring your family any justice because it's already happened. All I can say to you is you've got to take this to court. You've got to pursue the levers of justice in that regard. We've got your back, but I don't have a good answer for you and your daughters and your wife, and that's why we're here, because you deserve those answers, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But we'll keep fighting for you. I promise, Rich. Anyone else?
Yes.
Other questions?
Yes.
Let's go to just the press real quick first. Did you guys have any clarifications folks needed? Seems like we got a question from our
Yes,
audience here.
I would
Yes,
like
ma'am.
to just say that I've lived here 6 years. I have no family history of cancer, and I was just diagnosed with breast cancer. So,
Sorry, ma'am.
yes, so what does that say?
Sorry.
I was relocated because I developed asthma during that period of time. Never had asthma in my whole entire life. So these people have got to be stopped. I could be dead in 5 years or less because of that leak. I am going through surgery. I have to do chemo. I have to do radiation. It isn't fair that people and Brown and his sister and all the monies that they have and they're getting can affect my life. I've worked all my life, and it's just totally unacceptable.
Can I ask the folks here today, how many people had to leave their homes when these wells blew out? And how many people got sick here when these wells blew out? So anyone out there who tells you everything is fine and that natural gas is natural and that this invisible disaster is actually just that, it's invisible, and that we're just all hype, look at these people standing behind me today who suffered. I'm
How many
sorry,
people are
man.
still sick?
I'm sorry.
How many people are still sick?
How many people are
How
sick?
many people still have symptoms?
Yes.
Yep.
My father
So
died.
let me show you a quick
Yes.
question for you.
Yes, sir.
David Balin, Port Ranch Neighborhood Council, community support in every absence. I sit on the board over at Port Ranch Community School.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any plans to protect our children at Castle Bay or Port Ranch Community? They were subjected to high levels of benzene for a long period of time before we shut the school down. Do we plan on testing these children?
Yes, that is absolutely the goal of this public health study. And frankly, we still don't know what the long-term effects will
Of
be,
course.
David. And I'm scared, and I have no answers for you right now because all of this has been done in secret.
Of course.
Those chemicals, they said it was just methane that leaked out.
Oh,
But
you
this
got
is,
your captains, you've got, it goes on
and
and
this
on.
oil field that originally was here had heavy metals and other chemicals in it that predated this gas field. And what else emitted out? Because if you all remember, when they tried to plug it, there was that burp. They called it a burp, right? And it shot those chemicals into the sky and coated our playgrounds and coated there was barium in people's couches. Kids are in school without air filters. David, I can't give you a good answer of what's going to happen, but I promise you those kids will be thoroughly tested.
Perfect.
That they will go through this process and hopefully we'll finally get to the bottom of this mess.
We'll work together and get to the bottom.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, Congressman, please.
As to those with health problems, nothing in terms of money really compensates people for life and death. There are lawsuits going on now where people are trying to establish that their health problems are a result of this leak. And then this study will come forward and provide additional evidence. And so even if suits are not successful now, they may be brought in the future when the additional evidence is there. So I look forward to this health study. My family's health is dependent upon these filters that we stuck in the living room, and I hope that this isn't as harmful as it might have been. But I look forward to getting to the bottom of this.
Thank you, Congressman.
May I ask a
Just
question
from
on the health study?
the press. Are you with? No. Yes. Yes, sir.
My apologies if this question sounds a little elementary, but it seems like everybody here wanted this shut down yesterday.
Yep.
I see folks standing at the front gate. I'm sure you guys have had dialogue that they're telling you otherwise as far as the need for this facility. What kind of resistance are you, or the counter argument are you getting as far as the benefits of having this facility here? Because it seems like everyone feels that there is no bonus of having this facility here. If you can, anyone can explain that.
Senator Hertzberg and I moved legislation last year to actually keep this facility closed, at least until they figure out what happened. That bill was killed. The power of the gas lobby in the Capitol is real. They are making hundreds of millions of dollars on this facility, using it as a trading strategy to swap out energy markets and play games with our community. You know, we can't afford to move past Aliso Canyon. They'll tell you otherwise, but a renewable energy future where we can get hundreds of megawatts of battery electric storage, solar power, and clean energy, truly clean energy, that's how we move past this. We can achieve 100% renewable energy future. There is legislation pending now, and we won't stop until that's done. But I guarantee you it's going to be a fight, because there's a lot of money in that gas. And hundreds of millions of dollars, by the way, in a high compression turbine that they installed during the leak. While it was shut down, they hustled the job through to install this turbine that all ratepayers, not just those in the valley, anyone in Southern California who pays a gas bill is paying the cost of upgrading this facility that should be shut down. So if you're a ratepayer in the city of Los Angeles, you're paying for this right now. You're not getting those benefits either, and you should be just as frustrated as everyone here in the San Fernando Valley.
You've asked us to summarize the arguments of Southern California Gas, and I'll do that because I've listened to them a lot. They say that in order to have the natural gas heat our homes, cook our food, and generate the electricity that we need for our lights and air conditioning, that you need to bring in gas from outside the area, and that you need to be able to store it somewhere in the Los Angeles area. And that you'll continue to need to do that until we move to a future that isn't reliant on fossil fuels. But they haven't lifted a finger to solve that underlying problem. They have not lifted a finger to move us away from fossil fuels, nor have they lifted a finger to store natural gas anywhere else in the Southern California area. This facility is too big to fail, and they keep it that way. So they'll tell you you can't shut it down today, because where will we get the natural gas we're going to use tonight and tomorrow? But then you ask, well, why didn't you do something a year ago so that you could shut down any facility that was a health problem or a safety problem, or even for inspection, even a temporary shutdown? And they say, well, we didn't do anything then, but we're not going to shut it down now. And we're not going to do anything today that would allow us to shut it down tomorrow. They use the prospect of being without natural gas and being without electricity in order to terrorize the great metropolitan area into saying you need to keep this facility going. And in order to keep their weapon of terror, they don't do anything that would allow us to shut this facility down or even to reduce the pressures of the gas that are underneath. If we're going to store natural gas, it can't be in just one place for the entire LA area and then be told that the facility has to keep operating even during a methane leak, because otherwise the whole city goes dark. It's too big to fail, it's too big to exist, and this settlement does nothing to create a circumstance where we aren't reliant upon this facility next month and next year.
Their argument smells like cow farts.
Last question.
Should the CPUC be held accountable to follow through with everything you just described?
Absolutely. And to make sure that the costs, and they were close to $1 billion of the 8,000 families, is not passed through to consumers. And likewise, I know most of those costs are insured, but when you have $1 billion, you have a little automobile accident, your insurance rates go up. You have like a little history-defining methane leak with $1 million in cost,
You get subsidies.
your insurance rates go up. We've got to make sure that any increase in insurance costs going into the future that are a result of the negligence that happened up here are not passed through to consumers around the Los Angeles area.
We'll wrap. So we'll wrap it up here.
Is it okay for the CPUC to try to retaliate against individual citizens when they know that there are ruptured transmission lines that are a hazard to the public, and they fail to do anything about it for over a year to shut the gas off of a massive high-pressure gas leak of private property, but the city attorney decides to try to retaliate and intimidate individual citizens by working in collusion with SoCal Gas. Right.
Yeah.
When is that okay?
Doesn't sound okay, man, but we'll be looking into that. I hadn't heard that issue, but I will tell you the three massive gas lines that they decided to take offline and go through repairs conveniently all at the same time to basically conjure up a crisis, to create a crisis, a false crisis. This is the market manipulation that we've seen for too long in this state. Seen it through the energy crisis, and it ends here today. Folks, we're going to continue this fight. Thank you all for being here today. We're not going to rest.